Hey guys, it's Jim here, and welcome back to War Thunder. And God, you guys have really blew up the video, the montage video I put up of the Falcon 190A4. In just one day, 1000 views, more than 50 likes. Like, not very often do I actually get something like that. So, for that, guys, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Every single view is precious to me. But anyway, that aside, what this video is about is this. While I was getting video footage for the 190A4 montage, I actually got at least around 3 matches or so, where I actually did extremely well in the Vakovu 190A4, which is actually a huge deal for me because I hate to admit this as well. I actually didn't like the Vakovu 190 at first. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just the A variant, the A1 variant where the tail has a nasty tendency to lock up, which kind of puts me in a really skeptical moment when I'm looking at the other 190s. But anyway, I got those really good matches, and I feel like it's a bit of a waste to just leave them as montage clips because it's just me a few seconds then getting the kill in the montage and whatever. I feel like I should at least show the rest of the clip, like how I actually got the kill, the dogfighting that ensued, and everything, not just like few seconds or whatever. So that's what this video is about. It's gonna be me revisiting some of these video clips, and it's gonna be a bit of a post commentary because I was recording the whole thing without my microphone on, so unfortunately there's no commentary or anything to make a proper video. But before that, I'm going to break down the aircraft and basically talk about the flight characteristics of it, the firepower and all that, before I leave you to the actual gameplay of the footage and my post commentary. So how exactly does this thing fly? Well, firstly, the max speed, 648 kilometers an hour. This is actually a bit of a lie because you can definitely hit 700 kilometers an hour without ripping your wings off. Unless of course you turn super sharply with this thing. Turn time is 22.0 seconds. I'm pretty sure it's a little bit slower than that if you don't have the speed on the flaps deployed. I will talk about the flaps a little bit later on. But just keep in mind that if you're dealing with planes like Spitfires or A6Ms and whatever, you are not outturning them. Trust me when I say this. Even at 4.0 where the Spitfire and A6M's turn time is a little bit lacking, that doesn't mean you can turn better than them. They can still outturn you and take you out from the sky pretty easily. And then finally, rate of climb. I really do have no idea how to read this, so I'm just gonna tell you from my personal experience. It's excellent. Very excellent. When you take off, you can climb from either 20 to 15 degrees. Then you can reach 3000 meters in altitude or 4000 meters altitude very easily. And if you're worried about climbing at that steep of an angle, not to worry. The second you level off, like 5 degrees to 10 degrees around there, with this thing's engine power, you will build up that speed very quickly. So yeah, this is actually a very fast plane, and it climbs exceedingly well. So what you can do in this plane is this. Even though your turn time is a little bit lacking when you're comparing with the other turn fighters, you can actually make up for this. What you can do is basically make use of your speed. You can turn exceedingly well when you have speed. Just keep in mind that firstly your crewman may not be able to take it, so I highly suggest you put some points into your G tolerance and stamina, especially when you're going up to like 700 kilometers an hour. Yeah, it's a little bit of a dangerous pull to make without knocking out your pilot. But anyway, with speed you should be able to turn exceedingly well. Or what you can do is, once you're trying to do the fancy loop the loopsies, which is what I do a lot when flying the 190A4, is to deploy your flaps. And some of you may have played this already, and you're wondering why deploy the flaps? They don't have combat flaps. But here's the thing though, the takeoff flaps do not tear until you reach around 650 kilometers an hour. I'm not joking. It's really that robust. So in the takeoff flaps, you can actually turn quite well, especially with the speed. And if you're doing fancy loop-de-loopsies, you can also deploy the landing flaps, which doesn't tear around 300 kilometers an hour or so. I think it will test around 350, 400 kilometers an hour. So yeah, make use of your flaps all the time when you're playing this thing. But in the end, it's pretty much just a standard boom and zoom tactic, which is pretty much what I did in this video. And now moving on, the firepower on this thing, this plane is just insane. You have 6 automatic firing guns on your plane. And not just any automatic firing guns, you have 2 7.92 MG17 machine guns. And then you have 2 30mm MG151s, and finally you have two MG FFM autocannons. Which is why this plane is actually pretty nasty. Once you get your guns on target, and then you just squeeze off a few rounds, that plane is not going to be alive for very long. So for the weaponry on board, this is the rounds that we'll be using. For the 792, I'll be using the universal rounds because they are a nice mix of armor piercing rounds, incendiary rounds, and armor piercing incendiary. I don't really bother with the tracers because they are just armor piercing tracers and all they do is make holes in the plane. You can also opt for the stealth belts, but my advice for this one is only use it when you actually know what you're doing. And as for the MG15 120mm, this is what we'll be using, the air targets belt. Armor piercing incendiary round, high explosive incendiary, and incendiary tracer rounds. So yeah, a lot of high explosive rounds in this belt. That means most of the planes you come across, again, they're not going to last long, as soon as you get your guns on target. As well as finally the MGFFM autocannons, you'll be using the air targets belt. Fragmentation incendiary tracer rounds, a whole bunch of high explosive incendiary, and finally APHE. So yeah, these 20mm will actually tear up any plane the second you get your guns on target. Just a few things to take note about your autocannons. Firstly, you may have 4 20mm, but something to keep in mind is that your MGFFM autocannon only has 19 rounds. And the good news is that at least there's 2 of them. So 19 rounds going out 2 at a time, yeah, still quite daily. Just keep in mind that in 90 rounds, you will burn that 90 rounds very quickly if you hard spray your autocannons without any form of trigger discipline. But the good news is that even if you don't, your rate of fire on these 20mm are actually not that great. 520 rounds a minute, sometimes you miss, but hey, at least you're not burning your ammo out in like 5 seconds. Just one more thing to keep in mind is that the MGFFM autocannon is not exactly known for their velocity. So yeah, it's quite lacking when compared to the MG151 and the MG17 machine guns. So my advice is try to keep your targets a little bit close, maybe 300 meters at most, then just open fire. But otherwise the rest of your weaponry is really not a big deal. You have 250 rounds, which is actually pretty plenty for an autocannon, as well as your MG151 has like 900 rounds. So yeah, in the event that you do run out of the MGFF cannon, you will feel a slight lack in firepower, but at least the good news is that you still have autocannon rounds in near your nose. Right there. And so there you have it. This is a very nasty aircraft to actually fly. If you're thinking about taking this out in your own time, feel free to do so. Just remember, this thing is not a turn fighter. This thing climbs extremely well and it does have a really good speed. So make use of that, do boom and zoom if you can. It will reward you if you know what you're doing. So yeah, starting off, yeah, of course, it's a night battle. Why not? Anyway, I cut out the part where I'm just climbing because it's just like 3-4 minutes of me just climbing doing nothing. It's a little bit boring and I just want to save some footage space. Anyway, I spy a 109G down below me who just tried to hit on 2 other 109s, and all I have to do is just dive down. Because you see, if a German fighter like a 109 or a FW190 is low altitude, they're pretty much asking to die. Because their advantage lies in altitude, in energy advantage. You can't really do that when you're low altitude, can you? But anyway, the 109G managed to hit on one of the friendly 109s and down him, and then all I had to do is pretty much just maintain my altitude, maintain my energy, and this guy is pretty much in a very best position.
The enemy is winning.
5 rounds off. Not exactly sure what I did to him. Probably put a few holes into his left wing. Yeah, that's right, you got a hole in your left wing. Anyway, I'm up. Pitch up. He can't really follow because he doesn't have the energy and he's a little bit too damaged to do that. And all I have to do is pretty much just pitch down. This is pretty much just a textbook boom and zoom tactic. And all I have to do is just line up properly, which for some reason he decided to fly a little bit too straight here. And all I have to do is just, line up before the right moment, squeeze a few rounds off, and blew his right wing off. Just like that. And using the energy I have now, I decided to climb back up because, yeah, it's pretty much everything else is still going on over there. So a quick little update, I did cut out the part where I'm just flying and climbing at the same time. So I'm definitely high above everybody else, and I'm eye spying a I-185 down below me. No idea what happened to the Wyvern, but I don't really care. So diving down on this I-185, he doesn't notice me at first. I'm still gaining on him, building up my speed to 600 kilometers an hour, and still not ripping my plane off. And now he finally notices me and decided to turn. Decided to fire a few rounds off. Unfortunately, I missed because I was more used to following my tracers to a physical plane rather than looking at the player indicator right there. And this Yak 90 has decided to just fly away for some reason. I just wasn't too concerned about it. I decided to just go after the I-185, and finally the Yak 9K who decided to go after the SP2C and do that. Yeah. Decided to pitch up and spot the Yak 90 coming in. I think he's damaged or something. I really have no idea what's going on with this guy. Anyway, did some fancy maneuvers, loop the loopsies, and realized that he actually decided to go after my friend EP51C instead of me for some reason. But anyway, that gave me the opportunity to do some fancy maneuvers, loop around, loopsie, and now I just need to build up my speed to capture, which actually puts me in a really dangerous position, but right now there's no other planes out, so I really don't care. Anyway, catching up to the Yak-90, this P51C is trying to send this guy out for me. Unfortunately, I fired my rounds and didn't really do anything because again I was following my tracers to his physical object, not to his indicator. But anyway, he managed to take out my P51C friend, and yeah, decided to just pop a few rounds off and didn't really get him to connect because again I was watching the tracers, not the player indicator, and he decided to do something like that and do a fancy spiral, which I'm not going to fall for it by flying straight and wait for him to fly in front of my guns and get tagged by me. Nice try, buddy, but no. I've seen that thing way too many times, I'm not falling for it. Pitch up, and then I decided to use my landing flaps and watch him do that instead for some reason. I have no idea if he's damaged enough that he couldn't pull up anymore, or he just somehow managed to compress a very low speed Yak 90. Anyway, no idea where the other planes are. I decided to go after some of these IL-2Ms, these AIs, because I did notice my team's tickets to be a little bit low. So yeah, anything to do to lower the enemy's tickets so that we can actually secure a victory in case it's one of those players where they try to climb as high as possible, one of those bombers. Climb as high as possible so he can win by time. Anyway, I decided to just go after these IL-2Ms. They don't really give me too much, but hey, if it means securing a victory, I'm all for it. As well as, yeah, if you haven't noticed, for me going after the 109 and the Yak 90, I did blew out quite a lot of my ammo. I don't have the MGFF autocannon rounds anymore, unfortunately. Then down around, I did notice the AK-67 and decided to just go after the IL-2M because I was thinking, after this I'll probably just go back to airbase and just refuel because I am running the minimum load. And then for a little bit of a moment, I had this like moment where I'm thinking like Tom Hardy from Dunkirk, where I'm like deciding whether I should return to Britain to land, rearm, refuel and repair the plane, or turn back to Dunkirk. And after a while deliberating with myself and spying the Yak 3 and realizing these two are the last guys on the team, I decided, yeah, you know what? Screw it. I'm going after these guys. Like so. So looking at the Ki-67, the Yak 3 from afar, I think the Yak 3 is supposed to be escorting the Ki-67, but the Ki-67 took off a lot earlier than he thought. And then I thought, maybe I should go after the Ki-67, no? Then afterwards I slowly noticed that the Yak 3 is actually gaining on him and decided, yeah, I should probably go after the Yak 3 first. But I'm going to make myself look like I'm going after the Ki-67 just for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure he didn't fall for it. But anyway, maintain my altitude, maintain my energy. There's nothing he can do about it because he didn't climb. And all I have to do is wait for the right moment to dive down. Like so. And of course I'm just going after the tree first. The Key 67, since it's a bomber, is really not of concern to me. So fly down, put some rounds into him, get some hits, and basically did nothing. So take off flaps, do fancy loops and loopsies, and realize that he's trying to maneuver, but then again, he does have pretty low energy because he was a low altitude flying. All I have to do is just keep my altitude, there's nothing he can do to me. And he knows that, that's why he started going after the SB2C, who's going after the Key 67, which I'm actually thankful for. Not because I want to use the SB2C as a bait, but because I got one less plane to worry about. So I runs into him, and for some reason he did absolutely nothing. God damn it. Pull up, put some space between me and the yak tree, and fly right behind him, who decided to just pull up, which is a good thing that he does, which actually kind of put me in a bit of a dangerous position, but I did tag him a bunch of times, so he's definitely damaged here. He's going a little bit down, a little bit too low for his comfort, a little bit too low, buddy. You might want to pull up, and then he clipped the trees and broke his propeller, which put him in a dangerous spot, and I just annihilated him like that. Simple as that. And that's game. That's the first game right there. 3 kills. Final blow achievement. And now this is the next match that we are playing, that we're looking at. And I did cut out the part where something funny really happened and I wish I was recording. So this Do 335 was actually flying really high up and intercepting a lot of bombers and whatnot. The enemy team, those that climbed, were not happy about him doing that. So what the Do 335 did instead, he decided to use his energy to dive away from the enemy. Eventually they shot him down. But unfortunately, the entire enemy team dived down with him. So that means, yeah, that put me in the immediate advantage to basically dive down on this A6M2 and basically everyone else. That's probably like the most infuriating thing you ever seen. Your entire team who climbed, who decided to dive down on the one Do 335. Yeah, drag them most of them down to low altitude. Probably the most infuriating thing to see your teammates do. But anyway, I noticed this J22 going after the 190. Did manage to shoot him down, but he did set himself up for this. So yeah, have at that, buddy. But anyway, looking behind, and I do see like plenty of planes, and decided to just turn around and yeah, maintain my altitude, maintain my energy. I just turned around and faced them. And I could have sworn a magic show just happened because in the time I was flying towards them, almost everybody was gone. Like, you see this J21A? He is one of the last 2 guys left on the enemy team. I wish I was joking when I said that. Literally like a magic show just happened. Anyway, this P-51 put some rounds into the J21A and shot him down. And now it's left the last guy, which is a Spitfire, and I decided to fly over the airfield and see if I can pick him off. I mean, I did notice him at the last second to my left there, and decided to just turn once I noticed that the airfield isn't shooting me or anything. Anyway, maintaining my altitude, flying above him. He's unfortunately in the low altitude position, which is giving me a bit of an advantage. But then again, if I'm a little bit careless, this guy could easily outmaneuver me. But thankfully though, he doesn't have the energy for that, so all I have to do is keep my energy, keep my altitude. There's nothing he can do to me. He does know this, which is why he's turning right now. I lost the marker, but I can kinda see his little dot above the white snow. So yeah, what I have to do is dive down and basically again the textbook maneuver of boom and zooming. Unfortunately, he notices me and decided to turn and dodge me. But instead of committing to his turn, I decided to pitch up because again, maintaining my energy, maintaining my altitude, there's nothing he can do to me. And all I have to do is do some fancy maneuvers using flaps and whatever. And now I'm back on this tail. And I decided to do that. Angle my plane a little bit to his left because I anticipated him turning to the left, and he decided to pitch up in the last minute, which allowed me to blow off his right aileron, which not good for a turn fighter because you need that roll rate to commit to your turn time. And unfortunately, he decided to just fly away towards the airfield. And he did exactly what I would normally do in this situation, which is trying to fly as low as possible, but my guy, I'm pretty sure that only works if you're flying towards me and not away from me. So yeah, there's a turn guy right there, and that is game. And now, the final match of this video. This is the match where I got like 4 kills, and unfortunately I still lost, and the reason is because of the ground AI. But anyway, I looked down a couple times and noticed this J26 and the A7M chasing after my one F8F friend down below me. And yes, there is an F8F, I got my max up tier. Oh, this F8F just got down tier and is having a field day. But anyway, notice the J26 and the A7M dive down, and more markers popped up. Apparently, 4 of the enemy teammates has gone after this one F8F backhead. Like, what exactly is the plan here? But anyway, 190 comes in, he gets shot down by the G26. But yeah, this F8F is not alone, thankfully. He is setting up these guys for an easy kill. I pitch up and set my sights on the A7M, who decided to try and steal the 190 kill. And unfortunately set himself up for me to come in a boom and zoom tactic and squeeze off. There we go. First big trend down is a Japanese A7M1 because I am not going to deal with that guy's turn time. Anyway, pitch up, climb a little bit, use my speed to build up a little bit of altitude to go after this J26 who's a little bit faster than me, but I am slowly catching up to him. The 109 had decided to try to get the J26 but has decided to pull up, and the J26 had decided to go after the 109F, which for some reason he didn't see the 190 behind him and decided to put himself in front of the 190. And goodbye. That's a pilot right there. And then finally the J21A, the last guy. Not exactly sure what happened to the Vibrant. I guess one of these guys got him, but yes. 190 put some rounds into the J21 and he is not recovering. Goodbye. But unfortunately, at the same time, they did manage to put some rounds into the F8F backend and he goes down as well. So, sorry to say that, buddy, but no low tier, no down tiered fun for you. Anyway, time to fly back to the battlefield because there's plenty of enemy planes still up. And of course, I did notice the RA7, which is actually quite dangerous, unfortunately. But anyway, a little bit of a cut there because it's a little bit of a boring climb. A lot of the planes pretty much just went home, except this 109, American 109 that's flying above me, and he seems to be diving down on something, which left me a little bit concerned for a second. But I just keep watching the airfield to see if anybody's landing, and I see what he's actually diving down on. It's an A6M5, and that is something I do not want to see at this altitude. And let's see, 109 has the altitude advantage and decided to do a little bit of a shallow dive. I'm not exactly sure what he's planning there, but unfortunately though, even though he had the altitude and the energy, doing a shallow dive like that is a little bit dangerous. As you can see, he pitched up, the A6M5 decided to zoom climb for him, and I think he had a bit of a panic moment there because all of a sudden he's now diving down, putting himself below the A6M5. I mean, sure, if you're in this situation and you don't know what to do, the best thing you can do is speed away. Because if there's anything I know about the A6M5, they're not the fastest plane on the planet. Continue chasing him. I had to come in and save his sorry ass for basically doing a really weird dive earlier on this A6M5. But yeah, continue climbing, keeping my altitude, staying above him, and then dive down the A6M5. He did notice me and then decided to break off, which forced me to break off as well. I do not want to commit to his turn time. And for some reason this A6M5, instead of flying away, has decided to go after the 109. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing there. If he actually turned his attention towards me and start trying to maneuver or try to draw me to his altitude, he would have given me a headache, but for some reason he decided to think, oh, the 109 is actually a much tastier target. than the guy above me. But anyway, I keep chasing this A6M5 for a little while. He's still tracking the 109. And I also noticed the friendly 190 coming in as well. Slowly catching up to the both of us. Me chasing these A6M5. And then, yeah. As we are getting closer, I decided, and you know what? Since he's flying a little bit straight, I decided to do a little bit of a friendly reminder that there is somebody behind him. Yeah, that's right, turn buddy, turn. 190 comes in, the A6M5 decided to go after him instead of turning for me. Which is good because the 190 is then now setting up the A6M5 in a way that I can simply turn around like this. And goodbye. Just like that. Now climbing up to altitude because I do know that there are many planes coming as well because I can see the vapor trails high up in the sky, which is not good for me because my advantage is in altitude and unfortunately these guys are robbing me of it. So what I do instead is climb away from the airfield where they are coming from. So yeah, little quick cut right there. I-185 has decided to dive down for some reason on the 190 friend below me, even though there's a J2M2 on him. Now this is actually a bit of a difficult situation because I-185 has the altitude advantage and the J2M2 has the turn time advantage. If I commit to either one of them, they will actually demolish me right there. But unfortunately for the I-185, he didn't seem to notice me for some reason. He goes after the 190 that is going after his friendly J2M, who is dogfighting in the background. I'm not exactly sure if the 190 has actually damaged him enough, but as I'm going after the 185, I notice the J2M2 has decided to stall out, so seizing this opportunity and put the J2M2 out of the match, just like that. Because the reason is, if I go after the I-185, the J2M2 can just recover, then go after me. And that is something I do not want. So, yeah. Now it's time for me to go after the I-185, who decided to pitch up and forgot that I existed. And went after the 190, who unfortunately put some rounds into him. And yeah, he's pretty much going down, he's not recovering from that. But I did notice the I-185 has decided to do a bit of an aggressive climb, which is not good for him. As you can see, trying to do some fancy loop-the-loopsies, but I'm already on him. Put some rounds and blew off his left wing entirely. I decided to stay on him because I've flown planes with only half a wing. And just to see the 109 that I tried to save earlier on come back to return the favor by trying to steal my kill. Thanks for that. But you know, I get it, you know, you're desperate for kills. You're on the bottom of the scoreboard. Ay, ay, ay. But anyway, I noticed this LA7 and decided to just climb as high as I can. This 109 has decided to try to fly underneath him for some reason. I'm not exactly sure what he's planning there. But yeah. So a quick little cut right there. Again, what happened is that the LA7 has decided to dive down for the 109. And instead of using his altitude and energy advantage, instead of climbing back up to maintain that energy and altitude, he decided to just use his energy to fly back to airfield. Yeah. I really have no idea what these guys were planning. But anyway, that is pretty much the end of the game there because as you can see on the top of the screen, my tickets is really not looking too good. And it really doesn't take much for the ground force AI to basically destroy my ground force AI to bleed the tickets out even more.
We need to put more pressure on the enemy. They're winning.
And as the whole thing is going down, I'm watching the 109 going after the LA7 because he's really that desperate for kills. And as we all know what happens when you try to go after a plane on the airfield, you get shot down by the airfield AA, which is exactly what happened there. There we go. But anyway, that's unfortunately game for me because again, like I mentioned, the ground AI is what actually won the game for the enemy team. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the post-commentary video I just made. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers!